Hey there, folks, welcome back. Today, we're diving into the thrilling realm of personal growth and spiritual awakening. Get ready for a magical journey of self-discovery. Imagine waking up to a world where your potential is vast, and you're connected to a cosmic energy that offers limitless possibilities. When you connect to this energy, your eyes become radiant with light, mirroring your newly found inner peace and joy. This awakening can feel transformative. You might discover new passions, realize old dreams were mere illusions, and see the true nature of relationships. When you awaken, life becomes brighter and more meaningful. You become the architect of your own reality, creating a life that resonates with your authentic self. So, are you ready to embark on this journey? Remember, it's a continuous process of growth and learning. Embrace this incredible adventure and watch as your potential unfolds before you. Thanks for joining me today. Was Robert Adams a fraud? There are a few people on Facebook and elsewhere that claim Robert Adams was a fraud, that he never met Ramana, because there is no record of him ever being there, and no one present during the late 40s can remember him. My response is that there is very little proof that Robert ever existed in life at all, until he suddenly broke on the scene in Los Angeles in 1989. But this is the Robert I knew. He was very humble, very quiet and self-effacing. He rarely spoke. If you entered a room with a dozen people, you may not even have noticed him. Robert shunned attention in the spotlight. He was constantly deliberately losing students. He did things that ruffled their feathers and they left. His stated goal was to have 10 students in his life that got his message and could spread his message. 10 students who got enlightened and became teachers themselves. He was not interested in large numbers of people. He did not want to have an ashram. He told stories about leaving behind an ashram he created in New Mexico. He shunned Muktananda's invitation to become a Swami. He was shy and retiring, and I'll bet even in 1948 he was not an extrovert. He was not a people person. He did not live in the ashram, but around it. And when he told stories about his time in Ramana's ashram, and with Ramana they were told with such detail and conviction, no doubt, that he was telling the truth, especially about the time when he met Ramana on a path, took off all of his clothes and prostrated himself before Ramana. When he told that story, his eyes were filled with tears. He ended it by saying, "This is how you have to be with your teacher. Humble, devoted, surrender." And he said it almost shouting it as an essential truth. Some even doubt Robert's stated awakening experience, saying it was only a mystical experience. That same person claimed that enlightened beings stop searching when they become enlightened, forgetting classically that there are many stages after awakening before approaching final enlightenment. Classically, the Zen Oxherding figures come to mind. 10 stages post-awakening before your training is complete. The great Zen master Jushu stated he had 17 great Satori and thousands of small ones. His Zen training took place over a period of 60 years, before he finally settled as a teacher. If I were asked if I remembered the many people that had came and gone at the International Buddhist Meditation Center in the early 1970s, where I was a monk for 3 years, I can't say that I remember any, but a small number of people. People looking for evidence that Robert was at Ramana Ashram 1948 or 1949 50 years later would be hard to prove or find acceptable proof of his presence. This is more or less what I would expect. Remember, Robert was like a ghost in his entire life. He left no footprint, and less than a dozen photos. You will never die. The first thing to realize is that there will never come a time when you will disappear or die, because there was never a moment when you were born. You have always existed and will always exist in the form of consciousness. Now that you have awakened, what will happen to you after you die? Where will you go? When you awaken, you stay where you were. There is nowhere to go and nowhere to return to. You are simply there. You are yourself, omnipresent. It's so good to be with you. I welcome you with all my heart. If you've come to hear a lecture, you've come to the wrong address. I don't lecture. If you've come to hear a sermon, the church is down the street. I don't preach. If you've come to hear philosophizing, again, you've come to the wrong address. I don't philosophize. If you've come to hear nothing, you've come to the right place. There's only one nothing, and that's you. The most marvelous speeches are made in silence. Silence is eloquence, and words are just words. They fly away and often mean nothing at all. When we sit in silence, that is when all the teaching happens. Sit, be silent and realize that I am God. If you do not react to external stimuli, you are always in silence. At least in the store, at least anywhere. If you don't react, you are always in silence. Conversely, you can live in a cave, but if you don't learn to control your mind, it will drive you crazy and make you think about anything. I am talking about the mind, the thinking mind. So it doesn't matter where you are. What matters is how you react. I love each of you unconditionally, unconditionally. I love you as you are. Ask yourself this question. Why did you come to the satsang, to the spiritual circle? Ask yourself this question. Why did you come to listen to Robert's lecture? Or just to sit with Robert? The correct answer, of course, is the second. You came to sit with me in silence. It is in silence that all power lies. It is in silence that all answers are found. For when we speak, when we use words, words take their place. But really, what can they do? Just think of the billions upon billions of words spoken since the beginning of time. When will it all end? For us, for humanity, for the world. Think of how many words you have spoken today, since you got out of bed. Think about how many different words you've said. What have they done for you, those words? They're worthless. And to sit in silence is magic. That's when all kinds of wonderful things start to happen. Peace comes. Happiness comes by itself. Joy comes. When you sit in silence, you remember who you are. We have come to see that we are all one unified self. Think about that. We are all one self. You're extraordinary people, or you wouldn't be here. There's something special about you. You're ready to step off the stage of materialism, the stage of relativity, materialism and relativity. You are ready to leave your shell. The shell of materialism, the shell of relativity. You're ready to leave your shell, so be it. The mind creates all kinds of situations to prevent this. It shows you all kinds of nonsense. But now you know you have the power to change everything, to let go of the nonsense and turn to reality. You can do that. Work on it. Open your heart and let reality shine forth. You are already existence, but it is obscured from you by all kinds of mental concepts. Divinity is obscured from you by all kinds of feelings, dogmas, attitudes. So you will have to open your heart and let the reality shine through. And how to do that? To be silent, not to judge, to leave the mundane to the mundane. You always want to change something in the world, in yourself, in your family, in humanity. But you have experienced that you are unable to do it. All corrections are made only in yourself, and the problem is seen only by your eye, with a small letter. But if you try to fix the problem outside yourself, it never succeeds. Peace and realization will come to you only if you change yourself. Know the truth, realize who you are. Don't forget, we are having a satsang here. This is not a lecture, not a sermon, not a speech. It is not Robert speaking to a group of students and followers, or whatever you like to call yourselves. This is consciousness addressing consciousness. And since consciousness is only one, in fact everything I say, you say. Everything I feel, you feel. There is only one, the absolute reality. And that is you. Try to remember that. There is only consciousness. Forget for a moment everything you think about yourself. Whether you are a man or a woman, what your name is. Think of yourself as an all-encompassing omnipresence. Don't question it. Don't analyze anything. Give in to the feeling. Power and omnipresence. It starts in the heart. and then it spills over into your body. The body merges with it, and the feeling spreads until it encompasses us all. We are no longer human. We have become omnipresent, and it spreads and spreads and spreads, and now the whole world becomes it. It spreads, spreads, and all galaxies, planets, stars, solar systems become it. It spreads, and now it covers the whole universe. Outside of it, nothing remains. It is everything. You can call it anything you like. Consciousness, the self, absolute reality. This is it. This is your true nature. What do you feel? Try to let go of all emotions, all prejudices, from all beliefs and dogmas, from your body, from others. Let your mind be empty. Feel what I am, pure awareness. I have always been her. There has never been a time when I have not been it. The external, the body image no longer deceives me. The mundane with all its manifestations no longer deceives me. The whole universe with its planets, galaxies and solar systems no longer deceives me. Behind it all I see the source. I feel the source because I am the source. I always have been. Never have I not been. As for the thoughts, they don't exist. They no longer disturb me. They no longer poison my life. As for other people, they don't exist either. There is only the source. I can no longer be deceived. There was and is nothing in my life that can harm me. I forgive everything and everyone, and especially myself. I am the power. I am the essence. I am the glory. And if I am essence, then everyone else is essence too. And so is everything else. Never forget the purpose for which you came here. Of course, there can be no purpose in absolute reality. The universe has no purpose of existence. You have no purpose of existence in absolute reality. But as long as you think you are the body or mind, then your purpose is to lose your purpose. You are wasting your energies to become nothing. But if you don't think you are nothing, then you have not yet become nothing. Be honest with yourself. See where you are going by the way you react to situations in your daily life. This will tell you where you are by the way you react to life's adversities. Life will provide you with as many adversities as you want, and it is up to you to see them from the right angle, to not be afraid, to not assume that anything in your life is wrong, and to always know that you are not alone, even if you think you are only a body. Love, compassion and humility need to be nurtured and developed. Pure awareness is with you all the time. It is just waiting for you to recognize it, waiting for you to realize that you are not a body, that you are a spirit and are called Atman, Brahman, absolute reality. That is what you really are. That is what your true nature is. You have heard me speak many times about love, compassion and humility. It is very important to understand what these are. They need to be nurtured and developed within you. Once you understand what love, compassion and humility really are, you will become a living embodiment of truth, and the self will put your ego in the depths of your heart, and then you will find freedom and will. Think of something or someone you love truly, with all your heart. Now multiply that feeling by countless billions, and you'll see what I'm talking about. There is no other love like it on earth, at least in the mind. There is nothing to compare it to. It is beyond duality, beyond concepts, beyond thoughts and words. And since the self that I was had permeated everything, there was no room for anything else. Nothing. There was no space or time. Only the self, the all-pervading being I am. Love for everything was love of the self and for the self. That is why the scriptures say to love your neighbor, your brother and sister, to love everything and everyone in all circumstances. Love does not make distinctions. It does not say, you are good, therefore I love you, and you are bad, therefore I do not love you. Everything happens in myself. Different things are made up of different energy particles, and love does not change. This love can also be called compassion. If we could develop in ourselves this love, this beautiful, joyful love for everything in the world without exception, without judgment, If we could feel great compassion for everything, without judging anyone or anything, because you cannot have compassion for one and not for another. And also, there is also humility. Humility means that we don't have to try to correct or even things out. We don't have to blindly follow the rules. After all, no one can really do that. If any of us worked on these aspects, they would elevate and liberate us. There is a lot to think about. We need to learn to give the mundane to the mundane. We are too caught up in politics, family matters, work, and everything else, and have forgotten that we have only a limited number of years to spend on earth, in this body. So what do we do with the time we have? We spend it on things that don't really exist, things that have no meaning. Imagine that you are in a theatre, on a stage, playing a role, because then you are aware all the time that it is a role. You are not what you are playing. It is just a role. In the same way, you are playing a role even now. You have just forgotten that you are an actor on the stage. You think that your body with its look, appearance, actions, acquisitions is real, and you are spending all your energies to play that role. That is a truly senseless expenditure of energy. But if you direct your energies to the search for the self, to the self-questions, you will never get lost. And for this you need to cultivate love, compassion, and humility. It's not enough to just ask self-questions. Develop love, humility, and compassion. This is another method to master. When you ask self-questions, develop love, compassion, and humility at the same time. If you first devote some time to self-questions, and then react badly to worldly matters, and allow yourself to be offended, it is not enough. Be your own self, awaken from your sleep. Refuse to play your role. Watch yourself from morning to night. Observe what you do, your thoughts and feelings. No matter what situations you find yourself in, it doesn't matter what is happening in your life. According to karma, you found yourself on earth in the form of a body, and you have to receive all karmic experience. Hence, your present experience is a part of Maya, karma. Do not meditate on such things. This is important. Drop all these things. Leave the mundane to the mundane. If you only knew that nothing can ever happen to you, you have not had a moment of birth, nor will you have a moment of death. You have always lived. You are consciousness. You have always existed. Identify with your existence. Merge with the existence of nothingness. I keep telling you, leave the mundane to the mundane. Do not forget what I mean by this. I am not saying that you have to make a plan to have nothing to do with the world. You won't be able to do that anyway. When I say leave worldly things to worldly things, I mean occupy your mind with higher thoughts. Remind yourself as often as you can, I am not a body. I am not a doer. I am not the mind. Feel it. Feel it as deeply as you can. Don't treat it in any way, good or bad. Don't try to prolong your life. It is a waste of energy. What you call your life will do just fine without you. It knows better than you how to dispose of itself. We have a very limited understanding of our own body, its actions, what is going on in it. Do not try to do anything with your body. Your body will do everything it came here to do. It knows what to do. Let it go, of course. You can do that by asking, who did this body come here to do? To whom does it belong? And remain silent. I know that some of you sometimes suffer a lot and say, yes, I want to live a life without suffering. So I need to do something with myself, so I don't feel this pain. This is actually a mistake. First of all, you have to understand who is in pain. To whom has the pain come? The pain has come to me. I am the one who is suffering. And who, in fact, am I? If I am suffering, it means that the person who is thinking all this is not suffering. I am the one who suffers. And you are free from suffering, because you are not the self you are thinking about. Remember which self we are talking about now. Actually, it is the thought of the self that suffers, the experience of birth, the experience of dying, the experience of the difficulties of life. All these things are happening not to you, but to the thought of the self. Not with you. Love, compassion, and humility bring the awakening closer. You must remember that the only thing that matters to you is to free yourself, to free your will, and to free yourself from everything that holds you back. So you need to develop love, compassion, and humility, because if this is the end result of awakening, you will awaken faster if you develop these qualities. Even now, when I am talking to you, some of you are probably thinking about your body, your mind, your work. This is slowing you down. Dissolve those thoughts with self-questions. Set yourself free. There is no need to fight. No need to be afraid. Observe, watch, but don't develop any opinion, either for or against. Many people think that if they behave in this way, they will not be able to function in ordinary life. You will be able to do everything. Don't forget, the body is only an appearance. It has come here to perform certain actions, and it will certainly perform them. It has nothing to do with yourself. In fact, I think, how interesting, because there is nothing but the self. Why should I talk to myself? Am I crazy? When I talk to you, I often have to hold back my laughter. Why am I explaining all this, talking about all this, when you are already free? You already know it all. Sometimes the illusion pulls us in, for in reality, there is nothing. When we talk about God, we mean nothing. God is nothing, and that nothing is you. Be yourself. When you are yourself, thoughts start coming slower and slower, and then disappear. When the thoughts in your mind become slower and slower and slowly disappear, you automatically become filled with love and compassion and gain humility. In other words, the faster you get rid of the thoughts, the faster other traits, other qualities will come to you. So the whole question is how to stop thoughts. Because it is thoughts that evaluate everything around you, that tell you what is good and what is bad, what is right and what is wrong. And when they subside, love will come by itself, compassion and humility will come by themselves. You are an asset to humanity, an asset to your own self, an asset to God. You are wonderful people, you are beautiful as you are. As you are, don't judge by your appearance, and don't judge yourselves. You are beautiful as you are. When I say as you are, I mean your true self, your consciousness. You are beautiful as you are, not what you think you are, not as you appear to be, not as the world sees you, but simply as you are right now. Stand up to your full height. Don't be afraid of anything else. You can't be harmed. In fact, there is nothing in the world that can affect you in any way. You are free. You are the foundation of all things. Everything is just an image in your mind. The whole universe, all planets, all galaxies, all these are just images in consciousness. And consciousness is you. Recognize yourself and be free. There is only one way to achieve world peace. There is only one way to achieve peace in yourself. There is only one way to overcome all difficulties. There is only one way to find yourself. And that way is to realize that everything is consciousness. Do I want to say, take everything in this room, the glass, the lamp, the chairs, the couch, the sofa, the rug, the light, your bodies. They are not real, they are consciousness. I am not saying that consciousness produced all these things. I am not saying that consciousness is primary, and all these things are generated by consciousness. On the contrary, I am saying that everything you see, everything you hear with your ears, taste with your tongue, feel with your hands, all this is consciousness. You are not what you appear to be. Your true nature is bliss. The basis of being is called consciousness. Consciousness is also called bliss. It's all pervasive. When you merge with it, it becomes you. It is your true nature. It is self-sufficient. The world and the universe are not generated by consciousness. I will repeat this many times. Some teachings say as if the world is a modification of consciousness, and we have to go back to consciousness. We have nothing to go back to. Consciousness is pure awareness. It realizes itself as absolute reality. The world is like a reflection in a mirror. Where does the reflection come from? From nowhere, because it doesn't really exist. You cannot touch the reflection in the mirror. You touch the mirror. When you are awakened, you realize that you are a mirror, and the reflection of the world is like water in a mirage, like a snake that you think is a rope, like the blue of the sky. Why is this happening? Nothing is happening. It is to you that the seeing is happening. Why do you see appearances happening? You don't see anything. You're seeing a semblance of a semblance happening. We can go on like this till morning. It is difficult for the human mind to realize that you are not what you appear to be. Everything is not what it appears to be. It's not duality. Don't forget what I'm trying to explain to you. It is not that there is a world and there is consciousness. There is only consciousness, and you are it. A paradox, a contradiction. You're a paradox. You're a contradiction. You are not what you appear to be. You are not what you see. In this world, in this universe, everything is not what it seems. Consciousness is the screen of reality. So what is consciousness? We can say that consciousness is a force that knows itself. It is a self-sufficient absolute reality. In other words, there is nothing but consciousness. It is not that there is consciousness and there is you, or there is consciousness and there is the world. There is only consciousness. You could say that consciousness is the screen of reality, and all the images of the whole universe are just superimpositions of the images on the screen of reality. When you go to the movies and the movie starts, the screen is covered with images. You forget about the screen. You no longer think about the screen. You are looking only at the images. You identify with the images. You enjoy the movie. The screen is far away from you. But if you try to touch the images, what do you touch? The screen, not the images. Images don't exist, so you will touch the screen. It is the same with us. We forget that we are only a superimposition of images on the screen of life. And yet we are the screen itself, which is consciousness. For many incarnations, we have accustomed to think that we are an image, we are a person. And there are other people and different external influences that we have to face in the world. But I'm telling you, it's all lies. Images are like water in a mirage. Like a snake you think is a rope. Like the blue of the sky. There is no sky, and it's not blue. And once you realize that it is not a snake, but a rope, you will once and for all stop being afraid of it. If you try to scoop up water in a mirage, you will be disappointed. You will only scoop up sand. In other words, it's all optical deception. This universe, my friends, is an optical illusion. It is a dream, and you are asleep. While you are asleep, it is impossible to explain to you that you are dreaming. You will stand on your own. No, it is not a dream. Look, there are street riots in Los Angeles. There are fires everywhere. People are being killed. How can you say it's all a dream? But then you wake up, and it's like the dream never happened. It was created by you, and it came back to you. Think about it. The dream came out of you. It came out of you. And it is as if it had an independent existence. There are no limitations in a dream, are there? You don't dream that you are sitting in one place. You're dreaming about the whole universe, where everything is happening. You're on a plane to Africa, traveling to the Belgian Congo. You were a little boy, and then you grew up. You were a little girl, and then you grew up. And all this is your dream. But you will, I repeat, you will defend your dream to the last. In your dream, you will defend your rights. In the dream you'll even kill someone. But when you wake up, the dream will be gone. The dream never existed. I assure you, my friends, the day will come when you will awaken to the truth. It is the same with the world we live in. There is no difference. You are living in a mortal sleep. Hence, the great sages have told us to identify with consciousness, with absolute reality, not with what is going on around us. We have no freedom other than the freedom to react to nothing, to turn within ourselves and recognize the truth. But how can we do that? We look at each other. We see objects and phenomena around us. We feel pain. We feel sadness. We feel joy. We feel joy. And I'm telling you that none of that exists. There is only consciousness. To know it, you have to experience it. So you're saying, maybe that's the way it is for you, Robert, but what about me? I experience the world around me. It's easy for me to get hurt. I'm very sensitive. A lot of things bother me. I see how much human cruelty there is in the world and I cry. I perceive all the horrors that are going on in the world and they make me sad. Is it possible to say that there is no such thing? Is it possible to say that there is only consciousness, that none of this exists? Is it possible to say that there is only consciousness if I am confronted with all this day in and day out? It is. Be willing to turn away from the mundane. Be willing to dive into yourself. Dive deep, deep into yourself. To do this, you will have to ignore the world for a while, so to speak. That doesn't mean you have to give up. It means that you will continue to do ordinary things, worldly works. Just from time to time you have to realize that everything is consciousness. If you simply realize what I am talking about, then you will awaken, and you will be liberated. If you just realize all this, remind yourself when you wake up in the morning that the world may appear real to me, but in fact everything is consciousness. Everything is consciousness. Consciousness is space. It is pure awareness in which nothing has to be chosen. Consciousness is the basis of all things. On the scale of evolution, you take an object, atomize it into tiny particles, and you get molecules. This is the way all objects on Earth are organized: a people, chairs, trees, cats, everything will return to molecules. You divide molecules, you get atoms. When I talk about atoms, you can't even imagine how small they are. There are 7 million atoms on the tip of a needle. Just think of atoms. It's incredible. We know they exist because we can see them in an electron microscope. And if you split an atom, you get subatomic particles that are much smaller than atoms. It is difficult for us to even discuss and talk about all these matters. So amazing are they. The whole universe is made up of them. You go further, split elementary particles, and you get energy. We cannot see it, but great enlightened people and prophets reach this stage during meditation. And this is the most important thing. When you disperse the energy, there is nothing left. The very emptiness that Buddhists talk about. Non-mind is the same as emptiness. Go beyond emptiness, and you get consciousness. How do you prove it scientifically? If you get your hands on a powerful electron microscope and look at your own body through it, you'll see how many voids there are. You'll see that there are huge voids between atoms. And if you get your hands on an ultra-high power electron microscope, which hasn't been invented yet, you'll see that your body is just empty space. There are no atoms, because the ultra-super powered electron microscope will allow you to look beyond atoms. And you will see space, just space. This space is consciousness. The same can be said not only about your body, but also about a chair, a house, a tree, a flower, an animal.